Hey everybody, I hope your Halloween weekend was spooktacular. That's the most special effects we'll ever get on this online class. But to you, I hope Halloween weekend treated you well. I know Halloween is this Tuesday, but obviously, since this is being recorded prior to then, I wish you a good Halloween. Stay safe, have fun. And if you have any good costume pictures you want to post, please feel free to do so as well. Now, we have entered the realm of the next major assignment, which is the group project. Just be forewarned, this video is a little bit longer as I will be breaking down exactly what my expectations are for this project. And since the project will consume the next 2 weeks, this announcement video is essentially for both weeks 8 and 9, as the group project will be the primary point of focus for all of you for the next couple of weeks. So a couple of things to keep in mind in regards to the group project. Obviously, one thing that I do realize about groups is that it can be difficult, especially when certain people do not pull their weight, which is why I try my best to ensure that the individuals in the group project are held accountable. So some things to keep in mind regarding this project. First and foremost, each group member will have their own responsibilities within the group. How that will work is basically there will be a group leader who will sort of delegate different areas of focus for each particular member. And if that member does not pull their weight with that, the group leader should email me, keep regular correspondence with me so that I know that this particular person was designated to do this part of the project and did not pull through. Additionally, each group member will have to complete 2 cited sources with summaries for the group annotated bibliography. Now, if the particular person in question does not complete their sources and summaries, they will be singularly penalized for their lack of contribution. If they do not contribute to the annotated bibliography, it only hurts their grade and it will not affect the rest of the group. And then lastly, as I said, in terms of email and communication, it is not only up to the group leader to email me if there's problems. If anyone else in the group is having a problem with the group leader or with anybody else, you can email me as well, but you have to keep an open line of communication. So what is basically going to be happening this next couple of weeks? Well, first and foremost, you will be focusing on your group project. The group project is basically argumentation based, where you guys will pick an argument topic and you will develop a project around it. In a moment, I will show you the group writing section, or the group project section, I should say, and break it down for you thoroughly. For this particular project, your group needs to construct something outside of a traditional essay. It could be a PowerPoint, a Prezi, a video audio essay, a podcast, or something else entirely. If you guys want to get together and do a group video, you can do that as well. Create a game show, some other sort of project. It's up to your creative minds to figure that out. Additionally, your group will have to submit a group annotated bibliography, where each group member will have to provide at least 2 properly cited sources with annotated summaries. The group information regarding the group project will be found here under the group project section, as I will go over that momentarily. And one thing that you need to make sure that you keep in mind is that both the group project and the group annotated bibliography are both due Sunday, November 12th at 11:59 p.m. The group project is worth 150 points, and the group annotated bibliography is worth 50 points. As with the last major writing assignment, each day the project is late, it will drop 1 letter grade. By the end of this week, please email me and let me know who will be the group leader and what your group topic will be. The group leader will be in charge of keeping the group on task and organizing the final project. The group leader will also be responsible for putting together the final group annotated bibliography. So what I would suggest for group leaders is to delegate particular sections to group members and then assign a due date for when you want all the annotated summaries provided so that you can put the final annotated bibliography together. Now, obviously, since the group leader is going to be doing a bit more legwork, I will be providing the group leader with extra credit in the form of a missing or future homework assignment. So if there's a missing homework assignment that you would like to apply the extra credit to, you can. Or if there's a future homework assignment that comes up that you don't feel like completing, you can use your extra credit towards that. This is one of the most fair ways I can consider for someone doing a little bit of extra work. Again, I've given you the areas in which group members will be responsible for their work. And so one thing to remember is that if you do have questions, to email me by Saturday, November 11th, as I will not look at any projects or questions when they are due Sunday, November 12th. Below are the groups, and I tried to divide them up as evenly as possible. There's only one group of 6, which is group 1. Group 2, 3, and 4, you have a group of 5. So remember, each group member is responsible for 2 sources and summary. So the only group that will have at least 12 sources will be group 1. The rest of the group should have at least 10 for their annotated bibliography. Now, on to the group project itself. If you click on the group project section, you will note it has been thoroughly updated with the group project assignment sheet, group annotated bibliography assignment sheet, group project assessment sheet, which will be essentially my evaluation sheet of how your group project will be graded, and potential argument topics. Again, your group may pick a topic from this list, or you can come up with a topic of your choice. It is up to your group to decide how you kind of want to go about this. Would you want to make it easy and pick a topic from the list, or come up with a topic outside of the range of topics that I've provided? Also, the Writing to Convince section, if you want additional information on argumentation. The annotated bibliography section, I will make a note about the annotated bibliography section once we get there in the video. And then some group project examples, which is available to you as well if you want to see some ways to create a project outside of your traditional essay. Now, in regards to the assignment in question. So basically, your goal is to pick a topic and form a discussion around it, an argument around it. The difference between this project and the analysis and evaluation is that you are ultimately looking at multiple perspectives. You are not just focusing on a biased argument. What you also want to try to do is engage with your audience, which is essentially me. How do you convince or persuade your audience that either your particular side is the right side of the argument, or that the problem is in need of some sort of resolution, some sort of compromise between 2 opposing sides? The best group projects usually go beyond simply just informing. They have persuasive points, they have ways of engaging with the audience, and they teach something opposed to simply just informing about it. So this can be in the form of a survey, this can be in the form of a discussion, this can be in the form of other types of creative outlets that you can use to get the audience involved in understanding how your particular argument is formed and why your particular argument is significant. Basically, I've given you guys an outline here of how you can go about constructing your argument. One thing that you should be mindful of is that this outline is rearrangeable, that when you are trying to persuade or convince your audience of something, you might approach it differently. You don't always have to open with simple context or background. Sometimes when trying to convince or persuade people, you might open with a sales pitch. You might open with a personal anecdote. You might open with some sort of video put into context to help show your particular stance or point of view. These are all different things that students have done. Some have even opened with surveys to kind of get the audience engaged, to show them exactly and get them thinking about the particular topic in question. And so basically here, the simple outline is an introduction. It establishes your primary point of concern and your thesis, which is your argumentative claim. You explain the problem and you determine the best way to present the particular problem. How are you going to engage or hook the audience? The other thing you should be mindful of is that you will have 2 potential points of entry. And your goal is to determine what type of argument you are providing. Are you providing a Toulmin argument, which is the traditional form of argument where you are presenting a sort of biased point of view, but you are still establishing that an opponent's point of view is there? And in these sorts of arguments, 70% of the focus is going to be on your perspective, and then 20 to 30% will be giving some insight into where your opponent or opponent's points of view come into play. Ultimately, however, the audience should leave feeling that your particular side of the discussion is correct. If you take a Rogerian approach, the split between your point of view and your opponent's point of view should be 50-50, meaning that both you and your opponent should have an equal stake in the discussion, and ultimately a resolution needs to be made, some sort of compromise between two sides. So, depending on your type of argument, the Toulmin argument is a biased sort of argument, and the Rogerian argument is an evenly split argument looking for resolution. It is up to you to decide what is the best way to address your particular audience depending on your topic and how you can persuade them of either siding with you or convincing them that some sort of resolution needs to be had. As I said earlier, regardless of the type of argument you provide, you should provide varying points of view. There should be a more comprehensive look at the discussion. What are other perspectives saying other than yourself in regards to this argument? And then lastly, the conclusion. Remember, as I've been saying, the last impression you leave with your audience usually tends to be the one that sticks. So if you have a great argument going and then all of a sudden your conclusion falls flat, that will most likely be the last thing that the audience remembers. So reinforce your key points. Try to give them one last persuasive push to really make them convinced that they need to take your side or they need to believe in the resolution that you are coming up with. Now, the annotated bibliography section. One thing I will suggest to you as a group is to look at the group annotated bibliography example. If you click on it, you will see this. And basically, the final group annotated bibliography should look like this. Make sure that all your group member names are at the top, that my last name, Tan, T-A-N, is up here, the class, and the date. Then, the annotated bibliography needs to have a statement of scope. The statement of scope is merely the introduction that establishes the common thread between your sources. So once you have everybody's sources and you put them together here, basically your statement of scope should emphasize what each of these sources have in common. Obviously, they were going to revolve around your topic. In this case, the group's project was focusing on the impact of social media. So at some point in the introduction, they state that below, these sources all document the consequences and subsequent negative impact social media has had on individuals and culture. The statement of scope should be anywhere from 50 to 100 words, and each of these sources need to be properly cited, and they should be anywhere from 100 to 150 words. At the end of each source, group leaders make sure to indicate who the particular reference belongs to. Put the group member's name in parentheses. This way I can see who contributed to the annotated bibliography and whose group summary is missing. However, remember, group leaders, one of your responsibilities is to put the final annotated bibliography draft together. Individuals will be responsible for their own annotated bibliography, but group leaders, make sure that the annotated bibliography has a statement of scope. Make sure that the sources are in alphabetical order by last name, and make sure that the sources follow this particular structure. If you do that, I do not see why the group shouldn't receive a 50 out of 50. And keep in mind that any group member who might be missing from the annotated bibliography will be penalized separately from the group. The only way the group can be heard as a whole is if any of these factors of the structure are missing, if the statement of scope is missing, or if the sources are not in alphabetical order, which is all on the group leader. So make sure that you, group leader, you run it by one of your other group members just so that they can double check for it and make sure that everything looks okay prior to you submitting the group annotated bibliography. Also, under the discussion board, you will see an open forum group chat where I've provided all of your groups and the group members. This might be a good initial way to get everybody's email, to talk amongst you guys initially, to kind of figure out what your topic might be, to kind of figure out who your group leader might be. It's also an easier way to kind of communicate if you don't want to keep sending emails back and forth. You can just reply to different threads. You can keep the conversation going. And it's an easier way for me to kind of view any issues that might be going on, as I can track the conversations going on with each group. Obviously, you guys do not have to use this particular outlet for your conversations, but it is available to you if needed. So, just to restate, by the end of this week, make sure that you guys figure out what your argument topic is and make sure you determine who your group leader is. You may also want to figure out your approach for the argument and try to figure out who is going to take care of what. So, group leader, you might delegate different areas of the project. Say, for instance, you guys are doing a project about social media impact, and you need someone to find out positive aspects of social media, another person to find out negative aspects of social media, someone to construct a preliminary PowerPoint or Prezi outline or background, someone to find video material or to put together a creative project or survey for the group. Each of these areas could be taken on by different people, but it's up to you guys to determine whose strengths will work better in different areas and who potentially has time to do what. Again, it's up to each of you to keep regular correspondence with me if something is not going correctly or if there are areas of concern. Again, this particular project will take up the next 2 weeks. So as you go along, double check the group project section, look at the PowerPoints available to you, look at some of the group projects that are made available to you, and make sure to email me if you have questions about the project itself, about issues with sources, about structuring the annotated bibliography, about group members who might not be participating. So just keep me in the loop, and the more you do so, the easier it is for all of us to kind of get through the project process and see the direction with where you're going. And it makes it easier for me to kind of give you guidance as well with that. So again, start your projects, get organized, make sure you talk with one another, and email me if there are any other concerns or issues.